Hey everyone, welcome back to the Weird Weekly News with the Realm. I'm Gina.
Hola, I'm Rich.
Oh, he's switching it up.
That's all I know.
Yeah. Well, I think ciao means hi and goodbye. So you could say that too. Ciao, I'm
I can
Rich.
say aloha too then.
There you go. Aloha. Aloha.
I wouldn't mind being from Hawaii
Hey, I know. Let's go.
or go. I would just go.
It's just so fun.
Yeah.
Who else do we have with us today? We are so lucky to have them so much recently.
I'm Jenny, beer engineer.
Do you even like
cool
that
name?
title? Do you even like that
it.
title?
If she doesn't want it, I'll take it.
No, it was so much more fun when we were all together in a room and I could feed y'all alcohol, and then I really felt that purpose. Right now,
Yeah.
it's just drinking a beer. It's not as fancy of a name, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, we got to get back to that because I gotta have what was that one drink you made? It was it a mule? Maybe it had
kind of like a mule, but I don't know if it really had like a name. I think I named it, but it was probably after drinking that I named
it had Sprite or something in it. You were just trying it out for funsies, and it was really stinking good.
It was cucumber vodka, ginger beer, and a little bit of Diet Sprite or something. But it was
That's
really
what it
call
was.
it the
Really,
Kez.
it was so good.
You can call it the Kez.
The Kez. No, that's lame. We'll figure something out. But that thing
Speaking
was
of which,
good.
Kez is here with us today too.
Avi, here I am.
Avi. So today there's three of us that came with a news story. So the rock, paper, scissors is going to be interesting this time around. So Jenny, Rich, and I are going to duke it out now. That's how we figure out who's going to go first. Well, actually, so the loser goes first. That's how we do it. So without further ado, are you two ready?
Sure.
Ready.
Okay. Hands up. Got to be able to see them. Here we go.
Nobody can see you, Gina. You're cheating.
Oh my gosh, I disappeared. Okay. Here we go. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right, Rich is a loser.
Jenny and I have a rock. Okay, Jenny, it's between us.
All right.
Oh no, wait. He
It's
loses.
between me and
so
her.
He goes.
He goes
No.
first, but then who goes second?
Yeah. Who goes
Okay,
second?
Jenny. All right, here we go. Ready?
All right.
She had a rock too.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh, I gotta go second. Okay, I had a rock.
Gina, why are you disappearing into the other? Is this? Are you switching timelines?
I'm okay. Like
Whoa.
CERN just, we just found out CERN, ran at the highest power ever. No, I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist, but
You just look like you were fading away into particles.
it's probably the light. So I turned on the light. Is that better? Am I staying in focus?
You're glowing.
Okay.
Well,
I
there
got
you
that
go.
premarital glow. It's like 150 days or something and counting.
I just want to say, if I'm going to an alternative timeline, I'd like to go to 1985 so I can go to Biff's and gamble at his casino.
Oh yes, from Back to the Future.
Yes,
But
that's where I'd like to go.
I think shifting the timelines would be different than going back, or like moving backwards.
Well,
or
it's
forward.
you move. It's actually you move side to side.
Alternate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not really. I would prefer to move to the 1985.
Just let him have this. Let him have his.
Okay, I'm not arguing it. All right, Rich, you're starting us off today. What do you got?
Shocker. Okay. Man says
so bad
U-Haul.
at that game.
Huh?
You're so bad at that game.
It doesn't matter what game it is. I would lose. We could play Monopoly and I'd lose. It doesn't really matter. If we flipped a coin, I'd lose. It doesn't matter. Anyway. Well, yeah, not enough. Man says U-Haul with mother's ashes inside is stolen.
Is stolen?
Yep.
What?
Mr. D'Amato said the inconceivable crime took place after he stopped at a Best Western in Kansas City.
Okay.
An auto thief stole a U-Haul being rented by a man that contained the ashes of the victim's mother and grandmother in Kansas.
So is that considered kidnapping?
You're so wrong.
Am I wrong though? I mean,
It's
Not in
Rich
this
doesn't
time.
know what to say. He's kind of feeling it.
Not in this timeline. I think, yeah, I could see where you're going with this, though. Yeah.
This is getting at me. Sorry. Oh gosh.
It's like I said, the crime took place at a Best Western in Kansas City on a Friday night. And do I know a date? June 20th of this year. So just recently, within the last month. This man, Mr. Jared D'Amato, was traveling cross country, moving from Florida to Colorado. He woke up and realized the U-Haul he had parked outside the hotel, along with his belongings inside, and his mother and his grandmother was missing. It's just like when you're
Are they
watching
in the same urn?
No,
Oh,
not in the same urn.
You know that for sure?
Yes. Do I sound like a positive?
no.
I didn't know if they clarified it.
I'm going to say they didn't clarify it, so I'm going to say the answer is no, because I would think that would be part of a story if they were in the same one, which would be kind of creepy.
Yeah, that's.
So I don't know, but that would make the story better. I mean, but it's not really a story. It's something that really happened. So I guess I can't make it up as I go. But anyway, if I was going to make up the story, that's how I would do it, because I would say they were in the same urn, or maybe they weren't in an urn. They're in a shoebox.
They were urn mates.
Ooh. Yes. Quote, it's just like when you're watching the news and you see a tornado or hurricane wipe away someone's house and they lose all their possessions and their belongings. It just feels like that, he says.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Hotel surveillance video shows someone driving off with the rented truck at 3:15 a.m., followed by a second vehicle. D'Amato's mother died a little more than a year ago. He's now pleading for help getting what little he had left back.
Oh, so they haven't found him yet.
No.
And this was in Kansas City, Kansas, or Kansas City, Missouri?
No, Kansas City, Kansas.
Okay.
Don't they throw trackers on those? Don't they have GPS on those?
On a
U-Haul
U-Haul,
trucks?
I don't know if they do on a U-Haul. I mean, maybe they do now. Rental cars, I think, do. But I'm not sure about a U-Haul truck.
Yeah, you would think they did, though, so they could like recover their trucks if they were stolen. Pardon me.
He's pleading to get anything back that he can. The pictures and obviously his mother's ashes and his grandmother's ashes. As he says, that's all he has left to remember them by. So kind of almost like a story we talked about on a different episode.
Yeah.
Kind of ties into that, of what you have left there.
I kind of feel really bad now. I feel bad for laughing.
Well, it is it's weird news. It's weird. It's not
It is
something
weird.
It's not
So
something
he
you
shared
expected to hear.
pictures. He
I
shared
don't
pictures to show what possessions he's missing.
No, the only pictures that shows is the U-Haul truck.
They have like any video footage of the person that stole it? Like, did they see the person that got it?
Just not the person, just they show the truck driving off and then a second vehicle following behind it. No actual way to ID somebody. So I don't know. What are the odds of finding it? I guess they know the license plate number and the state. It's an Arizona license plate, and you know how the U-Haul trucks now have big decals on the side for usually what state they're out of. And this has a blue mammoth decal on the side. It says whatever that has to do with Arizona.
I really hope he does get his possessions back, because that's pretty sad.
Yeah, that sucks.
Well, I hope the right thing happens. Like, like the world out there, do your thing. If you know anything about it, if you see something, say something. I hope I do hope he gets his things back. So
yes,
but that is weird news.
It is weird.
Like, could you imagine thinking you're like stealing a U-Haul with like all these great, amazing things in it, and then you open it and it's not anything what you expected?
The crazy thing about it is now people don't even steal it for that.
Whoever stole it, I mean, they go to see what their new prized possessions are, and no.
The thing is, people don't even steal stuff for that anymore. They're not even thinking about that. They're probably stealing it for like the catalytic converter, or stealing it for the tires, or they're stealing. They're not. Even thinking, they're not even thinking that far. usually
Yeah, they're probably
as to
not
what's
even thinking
inside of
like
it.
how they're destroying lives by
Right.
making
They're not
that
even
kind of
thinking
thing,
that. You know, I
which
truly,
is sad.
yeah.
Very sad.
Yep.
All right. Well, now you got me sad. Let's see
I'm
here.
sorry.
So I'm gonna scare you guys.
Oh,
Dun,
it's not about a doll, is it?
So no, it's not about a doll, but I found this interesting, and I want to preface this by saying that this topic will turn into a full episode that we do on Mondays. So, but I found this news article, and I was doing like a bunch of different searches, and this popped up, and I can't even like give you all of everything that was in the article, which is why we have to do a whole episode on this topic, not just on this particular article, but just I'll explain afterwards. So Ghost Patrol, the scariest things cops have seen on the beat. That's what the article was. So it's called police1.com, and it's a website that kind of posts articles related to law enforcement. Sometimes they use like reader submitted information. So in this instance, they asked their audience, they did a call for stories to share like the scariest, strangest, or most unexplained things they've ever seen throughout their policing career. So I actually pulled a few stories off this website, just out of this article, just to kind of give you an idea of the stories that are on there. So we will post a link to all of our stories in the description section where you get your podcast, and also on our Facebook and YouTube. So you'll be able to have a link to this to read more. So for one of the stories was from a dispatcher that said they took a 911 call from someone stating that their teen daughter was being possessed or was possessed. So they said, we have to hold her down. She's, out of control. And the dispatcher could hear two people screaming and yelling in the background at each other. So like they were yelling at each other. So the dispatcher asked the caller to instruct the people in the background, like told the caller, you need to tell them to like stop yelling and screaming, like I can't hear you, that kind of thing. And so the caller though then said, it's not two people yelling, that's my daughter. Like both of those voices are my daughter yelling. And so the dispatcher said they could hear very clearly a young girl's voice screaming, and at the same time they could hear a male voice yelling back. So like the voices were like crossing over top of each other when they're yelling at each other. And apparently, I think it might have even been in another language. The way that this story was described was like the dispatcher couldn't even understand the language that was being spoken. But yeah, the parent was like, nope, that's her. Both of the voices are her. Like, we need help. So that's one of them. So this, like, it had some cool stories on there. Another one was from an officer. They were bringing somebody into the booking and holding area. So like in some police departments, they have like a small holding area within their police department, like where they'll book the people, and they just have like an internal small jail holding area where then they'll get transported over to the county jail from there. And sometimes in those holding areas, there's like cameras that can, video everything, because everything needs to be videoed and watched for transparency purposes. So this officer is bringing in this guy, and he was kind of being unruly. So he called for a sergeant and another officer to come help him to kind of deal with this guy. So they're in there trying to get this guy booked and processed and into the cell. And so there was like cell number 1. It didn't say how many cells were in this room, but there was like, let's say for instance, 1 through 4, there were cells. So they booked this guy and they were taking him to a different cell. While they're dealing with this guy, the officer had looked over, and in cell number 1, there was a guy in there that had like short hair, glasses, a white t-shirt, that was staring at him the whole time. And the officer said he was trying not to make contact with this guy because he just didn't want to like have to interact, because he had his hands full with what was going on right now. So these 3 officers get this other guy taken care of, put in the cell, and they walk past and they all see this guy in there, and he's still just like staring at them. So sometime later, after they finish up, the sergeant asks this guy, hey, grab this paperwork, check it, see if anybody's ready to get transported over to county, because I think they have to wait for like all the paperwork to go through, and go do a head count, just basically check on prisoners. So he went in there and in the booking area, and cell number 1 was completely empty. So he's freaked out. He runs, tells the sergeant, like they end up calling the detectives, trying to figure out, they're looking in the system to find out, like, where's this person that was in cell number 1? And it seems like nobody was ever actually booked into cell number 1. So they go into dispatch to check the surveillance video, and they forward it, they go backwards and they forward it to the point where they, walk out. So they get a copy on DVD, and they forward it to the point where they, had just put the one guy in there, and then they walked past the cell number 1 where the guy was staring at them. And in this video, you can see, like, in a blink, the guy just disappears, it says, like, on this video. And so then they tried to transfer the video from DVD to USB. And then when they do that and watch it from the USB, not the USB, but what am I trying to say? The memory stick. Am I saying that right? Kez, help me out here.
Flash drive.
Yeah, flash drive. Gosh, why can't I think of that word? Anyway, when they were transferring it to that, they
floppy disk.
Floppy disk. Oregon Trail. So when they transfer it over there, they can't, like, they're not able to even see the guy on the video. Like, it doesn't transfer over. So he said, like, to this day, they still hear some things, and prisoners can be heard talking to someone in cell number 1. So, like, when they have people in there in the quote drunk tank, where people are detoxing, they can actually, like, these people are, like, communicating with somebody in the cell that's not there. So the officer said to this day, he's super wary of still going into booking alone. So that was another story. And then a final story, just, to give another peek into what they had in this article, was one was called a burglary in process call. So it actually happened during the daytime. A homeowner had heard someone run through the house, run up all the steps to the 3rd floor. They call the police, they get out of the house, call the police show up, they surround the house. And so they, like, are holding the perimeter. So essentially, they all eyes are on the house, making sure that nobody's, like, looking out the windows. You have people stationed all the way around strategically to make sure it's buttoned up. So they were waiting for the canine to get there. So while the officers were holding the perimeter, one of them had seen somebody, like, pull the curtains back from the top floor. And so they got on the radio, gave the information, hey, just saw movement, such and such window, whatever. So when the canine got there, they're like, okay, they anticipate catching somebody, sent the canine in, and the house was empty, completely empty. So, and the homeowner themselves and the officer swore as to what they heard and saw. So, so now you can see why I think we should do a whole episode.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Get some officers to talk to us about weird calls that they have been on. But very cool article. I can't wait to post this so everybody can read all the stories. I think there was like 15 or 20 submissions. So very cool.
Interesting.
Interesting. Kez, have you ever had a call like that?
I haven't had any personal calls, but I have, and I'm not a current law enforcement officer, but I was, and I've heard a few stories from where I worked through. Again, not personal ones, but guys who are total skeptics being like, yeah, this happened and I don't know how to explain it. What is it called?
Kemper
What's that
Center.
place? Kemper Center in Kenosha, Wisconsin. That is apparently haunted. And like I said, there's been some guys who got calls for service there. They see lights on in the building, or, people looks like flashlights inside, but all the doors are locked. They go through the building, nobody's there, and just weird stuff happens to them while they're there. And there's guys that wouldn't go back. So
yeah, I remember receiving calls because Kez was a police officer there and I was a dispatcher, and I remember receiving calls a couple times on weird lights being in the Kemper Center and people reporting somebody being in there. So very cool. So I can't wait. Like, don't you guys think we should do a full episode on that?
Yeah,
okay.
Interesting.
Don't sound so excited.
I'm excited. I think that's awesome.
There's actually quite a bit. I was
Okay, where are
Googling
we
a little
gonna
bit while
get-
you were talking. So there's a lot of stuff about like police witnessing possessions.
Yes.
There was whatever movie. There was a movie. I can't think of what it was. A very famous movie though, where again police officers are like, yeah, we were there. We witnessed this chair fly across the room. We investigated it, and then we were like, yeah, this isn't a police matter. Sorry, and left.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to help you. Sorry, we're out of here.
I think there's a, was it the Conjuring movie that was that like based off of actual reports of that? Am I correct on that?
I think it was a possession of some sort. I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think it was.
maybe so. I'll have to look into that. Anyway, okay. Without further ado, Jenny, what you got for us?
All right. So, to Richard's delight, I have a story about a doll.
Oh, I thought it was Disney.
So, I was looking for some strange news and trying to be creative. I came across something that is actually called musical ear syndrome. And it's another one of those topics that we could probably do an entire episode on, because it's just got it kind of like goes down this rabbit hole where you're off in different directions, but it reaches off into a lot of different places. And basically, it's a term that describes how people hear music, and how even though they're hearing the music, there's really no music. But that kind of stretches into all kinds of different areas of the brain and how it interprets sound, and how it might use patterns to be able to come up with something that maybe others wouldn't hear. So we might want to take a look at this a little bit more and actually turn this into an entire episode. But as I was doing some research on that, came across the article from October of 2008. And please keep in mind, this was a long time ago. But this was about the Little Mommy Cuddle and Coo doll. And apparently, it's a
Rich is shaking his head, just for everybody out there. Rich is shaking his head.
I mean, this picture is just the most innocent little pink baby doll. And I'm sure we'll post the article so that everybody can take a look at the doll.
No pictures.
But, what's that?
No pictures.
No pictures? Oh,
No.
it's so innocent. Like, she's even got those little keys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Chucky
need
was
to see a
innocent.
picture.
Chucky
because
was
I need-
innocent too. Just remember that.
Cute. Oh gosh, it just looks so innocent. So anyhow, a Fisher Price doll has been accused of preaching pro-Islamic messages to toddlers. And I am not anti-Islamic in any way, shape, or form. But in this bizarre case, the Little Mommy Cuddle and Coo toy is accused of proclaiming Islam is the light to baffled children. It is also reported of having uttered Satan is king. So
I think I remember hearing something about this a long time ago, actually. As you're talking about it, this sounds very familiar.
Yeah, and it's from a long time ago. I mean, you figure, I mean, it's really almost 15 years ago.
Mhm.
So the messages are said to have come from the mouth of a doll whose vocabulary is restricted to coos and giggles, which may seem somewhat surprising, but concerned parents have now reported the American Plaything, which is also available for $19.99 in the UK. Some retailers responded by removing the product from the shelves, and Mattel, the parent company of Fisher Price, dismissed the claims as a phenomenon caused by the doll's cheap inbuilt speakers. A spokesman said, the Little Mommy Cuddle and Coo dolls feature realistic baby sounds, including cooing, giggling, and baby babble with no real sentence structure. And they refuted the allegations. And even though the spokesperson said the only scripted word the doll says is mama, there were so many of these allegations against this doll that they actually took it off the market and basically took it off the shelf. So can't get one of those dolls anymore. In case you guys are wondering, you just can't.
I'm wondering, like, if there's somebody selling it, like on eBay or something for like.
You never know. Yeah, I would imagine, after our podcast, everybody's going to run out to go get one, and they'll have to go on eBay to see who has one. But apparently, this isn't the only one that's caused trouble in the past. We had the Tickle Me Elmo doll, where apparently there was an allegation against that doll. And then there was a 1998 show, and I'm dating myself because I know this show, but there were parents across the US who were angry because they believed their children's Teletubby dolls were saying all kinds of horrible things. So do you guys remember the Teletubbies?
I do remember the Teletubbies.
Feel
Kez, I
like
can
went
barely
bye-bye
see
like
you.
16 times. My kids were little. It was kind of creepy. They were really creepy critters. I'm not gonna lie, but they were there. There were accusations saying that they were saying things like, "I got a gun, run away." And in 2006, a mother complained that a Mattel Little Mermaid doll called her daughter a horrible thing.
Oh.
And
It was what? I didn't hear you. It cut
a
out. A slut. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the Mattel Little Mermaid doll was actually calling her daughter a slut. So there are all these different accusations. The Tickle Me Elmo doll, another Mattel product, made death threats apparently, saying kill James, and her son happened to be called James.
Could you imagine?
All this poor Mattel, poor Mattel. But in any case, all of these things kind of tie into that whole thought process around, how does your brain take things that they really don't hear very well and decipher it and make sense out of it? And it just fascinates me that you could go to the extent of having this innocent little doll or Elmo or a Teletubby, and people deciphering what they're hearing into horrible things and violent things against children. It's just,
I mean, because I'm wondering, like, did they have recordings of any of this where any of it was corroborated, or these were just allegations that people made that these dolls were saying, and there's no, like, we don't have audio to prove or disprove it?
Apparently they had an audio expert, John Gaudet, Gaudet. He studied the recording and concluded it sounded most like it's not near the light. When they were looking at the little mommy cuddling coo doll, where they were saying Islam is the light, his ultimate expert like evaluation was it's not near the light. But according to the makers of the doll, just mama, and there wasn't supposed to be a word that could sound like night or right or light. So in any case, I found that an interesting article, and it kind of led me into a whole different direction that we might want to do a bigger show on. Have any of you had, I don't want to say, Rich, have you ever had a doll that talked and you tried to make sense of it? But some of these dolls and toys from when I was younger, the audio was terrible. You could hardly understand it to begin with.
I think sorry, I know she asked you, Rich, but
why would Rich have a doll in the first place? So
that was actually a dig. So I know you didn't have a doll.
I think I actually had that cuddle and coo doll though. Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember I had like this old, I'll have to ask my brother, but I used to have this old like wooden cradle that was made for me when I was like 5 by a family friend. And then I remember getting this doll that did say mama, and I think it was like activated by movement. So like my brother is like 6'4", 6'5". He's, just a giant. And I think he was like walking, past my doorway. I don't know if he's like heavy footed or whatever. And the cradle was there. And then he hears this baby go, mama. And it like freaked his shit out. And he was like super freaked out. And I'm pretty sure he wanted me to get rid of the doll. I don't know. Jeff, if you're listening, I need more context to the story because I don't remember. But I think I had that doll, but what year was this?
This was in 2008.
Okay, no, I wasn't a child in 2008, but I had a doll similar, let's say. So something very similar to that. But now Rich, you will be getting a doll from us for Christmas.
Now that we know how much he loves the dolls.
I have something to say.
Say it.
This almost goes down the lines of the paranormal photographs you see where you get matrixing, I think.
Yeah.
Or even some EVP stuff you hear where you can like you were saying with the article about they were attributing it to like something with the speaker or whatever that's inside the dolls being subpar or whatever. You could have 3 people listen to something that they hear on a recording and you get 3 different things.
Right.
So I mean, you know,
Right. Remember like blue dress and yellow dress or whatever.
Yes.
Like, well,
Yeah.
that's what the vision, but then they've got the other ones too, where it's like, if you read this word across your screen, this is what you're going to hear. But if you read this word, this is what you're going to hear on the same, you know, token.
Just like orbs and dust. Some
Yes,
people,
we know
every
Rich is
orb,
a
some
fan of orbs.
some people, every orb is the Holy Grail, and then the rest of us people know that not every thing is
an orb.
So, you know, it just depends on the person that's listening or looking or whatever, I think. You know, but that's the way when you're telling me the story here, I attribute it to something like that, because you see it on Facebook a lot where, at least on my Facebook's news feed or whatever, because I got a lot of paranormal stuff on there, and you see a bunch of stuff where people are posting something. Do you see this in the picture? I'm gonna respond, no, nothing in the picture. It's like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, and I agree. And like, and if it started with like the complaint started with like the comment that the baby made about Islam or whatever, if you think like back in 2008, that was when there's still a lot of racist rhetoric that's out there now. And I think that, you know, it was too bad that somebody was using something to, I think, fuel that fire, because that was still, I think now as a society, we've come together a lot better, understanding, you know, different cultures and embracing them and wanting to like actually be informed and educated about it. So, you know,
I think whatever people are afraid of, it's almost like it's like they're always thinking that's going to happen. Or that's always going to be in the forefront. And I would guess that's probably a big part of this, is at that time, our culture was so much different, and that was a fear.
Well, do you remember the days when people used to like play the records backwards and there was like satanic messages listed on? So it's like, I think it just translates from generation to generation of what new thing we're afraid of at that time and what technology we have going on that we could draw from it. So
yeah, I would agree. Kind
of like a hysteria. So, well, great job, guys. Those were some good articles today. So, hey, everybody out there, if you have any comments on some of the stuff we talked about today, you can email us at connectedrealm@gmail.com. That's connectedrealm@gmail.com. Take a walk on over to our Facebook page, The Realm. We're on there. You see the logo behind our heads there. That's going to be the logo on the Facebook page. And we also have a YouTube channel. So we'll have links to all of that listed in the description of this podcast. And again, you can catch us on Spotify, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, and Stitcher right now. And we will keep growing those platforms for you to find us. So with that, everyone,
aloha.
So it's aloha, hello, and goodbye for sure.
Yes.
I did not know that. You learn something new every day. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, aloha, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Peace out.
Bye.